Welcome to Around the Bases, the pop culture and sports podcast, special summer movie edition with your host.
Charlie Seymour.
And I'm Tim Sternberg. Hit it, Nick. Welcome to Around the Bases. This is a very special episode where we're going to be talking about our favorite summer movies of all time and previewing some of the great summer movies that are coming out, that have come out, that are coming out this awesome summer of 2024. How you doing, buddy?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. I love summer movies. There's something about that popcorn flick in the summer.
Who doesn't?
Right?
Who
Yeah.
doesn't? And I feel like movies are making a comeback.
They are, after the pandemic with, people staying home, even with streaming services, there's nothing, I don't know how you feel. I think we're kind of similar minded. There's nothing like seeing a movie in a theater with a fresh tub of popcorn, nice soft drink,
that smell,
hand around your significant other, and just watching the movie. It's something awesome about that. I love that. And I do talk a little bit in the movie, and people don't like. That's why I sit all the way in the back.
It's one of the only times you can go a solid 90 minutes to 2 hour plus
without looking at your phone.
Without looking at your phone. Exactly.
Yes. Isn't that sad? Like how we've become so into.
Which is why it's so big. It's so important to keep going to movies.
It is, and it's an ongoing joke. And I text you when this happens every time. But for some reason, this theater I go to, every single time I go, and the last time I went was to see The Fall Guy, which we've talked about. They give me the senior.
Hey, don't complain.
My wife, Erica, who is 5 years older than me, and she won't mind me saying that, she does not get the senior. And she's over 55.
So can't she just say, hey, give me my senior discount?
There's no way she'll do that. There's no way.
Hey, discount's a discount.
I understand this, but there's no way she's going to admit that. And if I do that, I'm not going to be sitting next to her in the theater.
Well, in that scenario, at least you guys net out the same, right?
Yeah, we do. I mean, yeah, exactly. Because I'm taking her rate.
You should be getting one.
I'm winning one for the team. It's because of my luscious gray hair that it's okay. It's fine. It's all right. I know how old I am. I know I'm 52. It's fine. So yeah. There you go. Am I 52? Right. Yeah, I'm 52. I'm 53, 52. I don't know. Whatever. After, just so you know, young one, after 40, you don't care what your birthday says. It just doesn't matter anymore.
You could say that after like 25, 26.
Yeah.
25, you can rent a car. After that, like, there's no real.
That's true.
You could run for president at 35. we won't go there.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's true. And we could use some people that are 35 to run for president, quite honestly.
Let's leave it.
I would love someone under 70. Which applies to both sides. So I'm not taking sides, just so you know. So this is going to be a special episode, as I mentioned at the top. We're going to be talking all about summer movies. So we're not going to be talking about the latest and what happened this week in Big Brother, for example. We will be recapping what happened this week. It's crazy stuff that happened this week in Big Brother. We'll recap that in a couple of weeks. These next 2 weeks, we're going to kind of do special episodes where we kind of target different things. This week, we're talking all about the summer movie. And I gave my buddy Charlie a homework assignment prior to this episode. I said, listen, I want you to pick your top 5. I'm doing it too. Pick your top 5 all-time favorite summer blockbusters. And what usually qualifies as a summer blockbuster is a movie that's released between Memorial Day and Labor Day. That's kind of the known May, basically May to September is considered a summer movie. And so of course I came up with my top 5. It wasn't that difficult, honestly, when I was looking at it. If you're just confining it to summer.
No,
And these are
it
not.
was extremely difficult. I
I knew
always
for
hate
you.
making these lists. They're
Yeah,
so hard.
I knew for you it would
They're
be. And I'm
impossible.
very interested to see where if our lists kind of match at all. I will say the number one on this list is my number one of all time. And I'm sure regular listeners will know, do not give it away, but will know what that movie is. They probably already are saying, it's this. Blah, blah, blah. But it's okay. It's all right. All right.
Not one person does not know that.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty I was literally in another place looking at a musical of that show, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. So I am curious because my list is a little there's a couple of movies on there I will say that are not necessarily probably going to be on your list, which is good. And so we'll start at number 5. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
No, we got to do your whole list first because
My
mine's
whole
a
list?
mine's a hodgepodge. It's impossible to make a list. We went over this.
Okay, all right.
I will name maybe like 50,000 of them, and then I'll narrow it down to like
All right,
12,000.
so I'm gonna go through my list, and I want your opinions of the movies, and
Yes, let's
I'll
do
start it.
that. Let's start
All
with
right,
that.
all right, all right. I'll start at number 5. This is a movie. So number 5 for our listeners, and I'm sorry if you're a younger listener out there. Not a single one of these movies was released after 1990. These were all prior to 1990. So I am older. I am a Gen Xer. So that's kind of my wheelhouse. So all these movies were either released when my co-host and buddy was really young or before he was
So are
born.
these all going to be like the biggest ones by IMDb?
No, these are just in my opinion. No,
I know. I'm just saying that
no.
the
Some of them are
IMDb one has a strong majority of them are all pre 90s.
yeah, some of them are definitely one, at least two of them are on the IM, three of them, 3 or 4
And
of
your
them are on
number
the
one
IM.
is number 11.
Yeah. My 3 or 4 of them are going to be on the IMDb list. I know they are, as a matter of fact. And a lot of them have to do with. So I met my wife Erica in 1988, in May of 1988, and if 1988 was, I remember this is not on my list, but one of the first movies I saw with Erica was A Fish Called Wanda, and A Fish Called Wanda was with Jamie Lee Curtis, and of course from Monty Python. I mean, it was like a mini Monty Python reunion. It is a good movie. So Fish Called Wanda. But anyway, so number 5 on my list is a movie that Erica and I really kind of connected with, and it's Dirty Dancing.
Okay.
Dirty Dancing. It's not, it's a rom-com, as rom-com steak. It's a movie that takes place, if you don't know it, and who doesn't know it, but Jennifer Grey, Patrick Swayze. It's a movie that takes place in the 1960s at a resort in the Catskills, and it's about a dancer, Johnny, who falls in love with Baby. Don't put Baby in the
Don't put
corner.
baby in a corner.
And they proceed to do the lift, and it became later on in pop culture it became all these different, there was a reality show based on Dirty Dancing. There's a lot of things, and it was really Patrick Swayze's second real big movie. I think his first big movie is Red Dawn. I think that came out before Dirty Dancing, which is an amazing movie. If you haven't seen Red Dawn, great movie.
And then they made a remake of it,
They
which was
made a
pretty bad,
remake.
but
He did
entertaining.
Roadhouse. They just did a
Another
remake of
remake.
Roadhouse. Another Patrick Swayze movie. Ghost has not been redone, and it should not be
Yet.
redone. Love that movie. It's not on my top 5, but another great movie in the summer. But
Ghost
Dirty,
actually cracked IMDb's list. I
it
noticed that
did.
there. It was
Great
16,
movie. You in danger, girl.
505.7 at the worldwide box office.
Whoopi Goldberg, you in danger, girl. Great. I love Whoopi Goldberg in that movie. But anyway, so back to Dirty Dancing. The music, the soundtrack for Dirty Dancing was just on fire. 1960s songs, and She's Like the Wind, and all this great music. And it just reminded me a lot of my summers in upstate New York going to summer camp. And it just is one of those first rom-coms that I saw together with my wife. So yeah, Dirty Dancing is number 5. I'm sure you've seen it. Who hasn't?
I mean, if you're alive, you've seen it basically. If you were alive at that time, I should say, you've seen it.
So my number 4 movie is a Stephen King movie, but
Okay.
it's not a Stephen King movie that you would normally think is a Stephen King movie. That can kind of give you a big clue. Um, it starred an actor who is currently a talk show host, another actor who was on Star Trek: The Next Generation, another actor who is part of a pair of actors. He was on The Goonies and all these other movies. Another actor whose father recently passed away. It is the movie based on the Stephen King short novel, The Body, and it's called Stand By Me. That's my number
Oh,
four
okay.
movie. It's a movie that I can never watch the end of it without crying. It is an emotional movie about friendship, about friends. The premise of the movie is these kids that were my age when the movie was out, find this body by this railroad track, and they, continue. And they have this whole adventure, or so to speak.
That's been redone and spoofed by everything everywhere. Family Guy
Yes.
does an episode about it,
Kiefer Sutherland, one of his earlier movies. Will Wheaton is the person I was referring to, of course, went on to Star Trek: The Next Generation.
and he.
Um,
I'm sorry, Will, but I can't ever not think of him in Family Guy. Stewie, Will Wheaton. Why are you
Will
saying it
Wheaton.
like that? Why are you saying it like that? Sorry,
Oh,
but
God.
I will
No,
never.
that's good. That's
I can
good.
only ever hear Will Wheaton, and then that pops
We're
up.
talking about the impact on pop culture, so that's absolutely acceptable. And of course, one of the actors that died so young, River Phoenix, Joaquin's brother, unbelievable actor. He passed away outside the Viper Room, which was owned by Johnny Depp, and he had a real. It's unfortunate, and for River, River was an amazing actor. Jerry O'Connell was in the movie, who of
Richard
course
Dreyfuss, John
Richard
Cusack.
Dreyfuss. Richard Dreyfuss was the narrator of the movie. He
Yeah,
was the older Will Wheaton. Um, and the that movie is just it's something about it that just it's very emotional. Jerry O'Connell, of course, went on to, I don't know if you remember this sci-fi. I love this sci-fi show in the 90s called Sliders. It was on Fox.
I know of it. Did not watch
Yeah,
it.
great show. That I was into, I'm still into sci-fi, as you'll know in this list, which the top two movies are sci-fi movies.
He's also
Sort of.
on Billions for people who
Oh
watch
yeah,
something more recently too.
yeah, and he's of course a host of Pictionary, which is a game show. And he's also on the Talk at CBS. So yeah, Stand By Me. It's definitely my number four movie. It would be on my top 10 all-timers also. I love that film a lot, which is interesting. So my 4 and 5 would kind of make my top 10 list, but the 3 would not necessarily, which is weird, in the context of summer movies and how they kind of impacted and I enjoyed. Number 3 is a movie, it's the second movie on the list by Robert Zemeckis. The
Okay,
first number one is by Robert Zemeckis and Steven
obviously.
Spielberg. And it's a movie that was ahead of its time. And it did some magical things. Its lead character's name was Jessica. And it had cartoon characters from
Yeah,
multiple
I thought this
universes.
is what this was. Okay, I like this pick.
Who Framed
Who Framed
Roger
Roger Rabbit?
Rabbit?
Yeah.
Love that movie. Like, I bought Erica the Roger Rabbit stuffed animal. Like, it was like a big Bob Hoskins, rest in peace. My favorite scene in that movie is when you have Daffy Duck, and Daffy Duck on the piano, and then you have Donald Duck on the other piano, and they're doing this dueling piano scene when and they're like going after it. And then of course Bugs Bunny. It was an amazing movie that had Disney and Warner Brothers together in one film. And it was just awesome. I was like in awe the entire time I watched that movie. It's still a great looking movie. It was still ahead of its time. The story was really good. Yeah. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? That is my number 3 movie. Now, when you get into number 1 and 2, number 2 is probably on a lot of people's number 1 lists, on a lot of lists. It spun multiple movies after it. and a fandom that is unmatched in this universe, pardon the pun. But my number two movie is Use the Force, Luke. It's Star Wars. Star Wars is number two.
The
Uh,
which episode?
it's New Hope, the
New
first
Hope,
one, episode one, episode four.
episode 4.
I get so Jar Jar Binks, Jar Jar Binks, not that one. No, no Jar Jar
That's
Binks.
number 3 all time on IMDb.
Yes, yes. Star Wars, the original movie, which is episode four, A New Hope. It and if I had a top 10 list, Empire Strikes Back would also be on it, and Return of the Jedi would also be on it. I love those movies as well. But yeah, Star Wars is my number two film. It's I like I said, probably on a lot of people's number one list. I'm sure it's on your list somewhere. Um, probably.
And
Um,
number 1, we all know. Everyone in the world knows it.
roads where we're going,
We
we don't
don't need
need
roads.
roads. Of course, it would be Back to the Future on my list. Would be the number one. There's not a movie that has impacted me pop culturally like Back to the Future. As a matter of fact, I was just in London and just saw the musical for the first time, and I absolutely loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. Now, I will say this, it's a little spoiler for those who haven't seen the musical, but it's not really a spoiler. That scene in the movie where they have the Libyans going after Doc for stealing the petroleum, the plutonium. They obviously, it's not really a political correct kind of scene nowadays. So what they did was instead they have Doc being radioactive, and the plutonium is killing him and kills him. And it's kind of a it doesn't have that impact of the scene of the Libyans going after him, but that's kind of how they flip the doc thing. But the musical is absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend it if you're in New York or London. Check it out. It's definitely worth the money. I maybe bought a one or two too many souvenirs, and I got a certain friend of mine a cup. But yeah, it is just amazing, really cool. But yeah,
That's a
that's
good
my top
list.
five. All right, so what about you? I
Okay.
know it's going to be eclectic.
So, okay, first of all, let's preface it with
There's a
you
preference.
you you picked a Star Wars movie, okay?
Yes.
There's so many different franchises that have multiple options that it
Yeah.
seemed impossible to want to pick that.
So you're picking the
So
franchise itself, maybe?
yeah, here's what I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Okay, in my top 5, in no particular order, I'm gonna
Okay.
put
Fair enough.
one of the Avengers movies because there's too many, and
What, what
you're
is
not.
what's your favorite Avengers movie though? Mine's Endgame.
Yeah, Endgame and Infinity War are both way up
Yeah.
there. I
I had
one of the I'm a, I also really like Civil War. I think that's underrated.
Civil War is great. Well, I collected all the comics, so I had known the stories before. Those comics came out in like the late 80s, so they've been around. The story's been around a while. Infinity Gauntlet, that whole thing. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go
So
ahead.
Fandango just recently put out a survey of thousands of people, and they put out their all-time top 10 summer blockbuster movies, and they're all much more recent, probably 2000. No, not all of them. There's one or two that sneak in the early. A New Hope is on the list, so there's a couple that sneak on, but 3 of them are Star Wars, 3 of them are Avengers, 6 of the 10 are 2 franchises. So like it's hard to make a. I'm not gonna pick
And there's
4
an
of those as my top 5.
honorable mention on that list, Indiana Jones. I mean, come on. I
Yes.
love that
Okay.
franchise.
I have Indy. I have that cracked the list as well as one of
Yeah,
the 10.
I would absolutely agree with you
So
on
I
that.
have that written down as well. Also, I
Hmm.
have a few other classics, older ones that you didn't touch on. That one
Oh,
of them for sure has to be on my list because this I feel like is like the definition of like a summer blockbuster movie.
what is it?
Talk about being first of its kind at the time. This is a Spielberg movie, and
E.T.?
close, a little later on, and it involves something similar, but not quite aliens. but who lived on Earth before humans?
Oh, Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Are you kidding
I
me?
mean,
Yes.
Jurassic Park.
Yes. The original
Fantastic.
Jurassic Park with Jeff Goldblum. Oh my God. What a great movie that was. And the most recent one was terrific too. When they came back, I love that film. Oh yeah.
So that this
I
is
hear the
not.
music in my head. The
I
doo
know that. So that's one of the ones we've seen in symphony. If I don't know if you ever gone to one of the movies with a symphony,
Oh, where they play the music in
I
front of
could
the
not
film.
recommend that
I
enough.
want to see
If
that Back to the
you
Future like that. They do.
that you should totally do it.
Oh
We've
yeah.
seen a Jurassic Park, we've seen Home Alone, like a movie with like a good score like that with the
When we
orchestra is
talk
just
Christmas
very fun.
movies, Home Alone, when we
Home
in
Alone
December, Home Alone
and
is
Die Hard.
absolutely going to be a Die Hard
Die
too.
Hard is a Christmas movie, damn
Yes,
it.
we both agree on that. Thank you
Yes,
very
it is.
much.
Damn it. It's
Yes.
a Christmas movie. So we don't want to get ahead of
Yippee
ourselves.
ki You know what I mean.
Mofo.
Okay. I love that movie. All right. Anyway, back to
Okay.
summer.
Another one that I'm putting on my list, and this one probably not everyone has on their list. It did make Fandango's top 10. This one I'm putting on because at the time I liked it so much. I saw it in theaters, I want to say 2 or 3 times. But I'm putting The Dark Knight in mine.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
doing it.
Oh
That
yeah.
opening scene in a theater in a movie was one of the greatest things I've ever watched.
Yep.
That opening scene was phenomenal.
I do like the Batman franchise. So who's your favorite Batman?
Oh man, I don't. It's too hard to say. I think I lean a little Michael. I like Michael Keaton. I
Because that
also.
was a Christian Bale Batman.
I was gonna say Christian Bale's great Batman as well. I
By the
don't
way,
love
that
Robert
poster over
Pattinson.
there is autographed by Christian Bale.
That's pretty cool.
He was in the Midsummer Night's Dream. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry. So
Uh,
you don't like Robert
I
Pattinson?
don't love Robert Pattinson.
What about Ben Ben
Nah,
Affleck?
he's on the bottom as
I
well.
my For me, I'm old school. Michael Keaton is my
Yeah,
favorite.
Keaton's great. Have you seen
The
The
original
Flash yet?
movie, no.
Okay, well, that is now available on Netflix. Do yourself a favor because
Is it worth it?
Michael
We
Keaton
had this
may or may
discussion.
Michael Keaton may or may
So
not come back.
he's in it. Come on. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he's in it. Okay, so if Michael Keaton's your favorite Batman for that alone, you should see
Okay.
it.
I'm Batman.
Put it on your list.
Batman.
One other summer blockbuster movie that I think needs to be mentioned, just because I think it's like one of the old. It's just like a classic summer blockbuster popcorn movie. Independence Day.
Oh yeah. Ooh.
Gotta
Yeah.
be in there.
Oh
That's a
my
fun one.
God. You talk about a blow 'em up kind of movie.
Iconic pop culture
Ooh.
references.
Amazing movie. I agree.
Will
It
Smith,
wouldn't
fantastic in it.
Yeah, it wouldn't be that was Will Smith in the high. That was, I think, the movie that really blew up Will Smith, pardon the pun, but that was really a big movie for him. That and Men in Black, which I didn't even think about, but Men in Black was also a great
Men in
summer
Black
movie.
was also fantastic. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. You remember speaking of Will Smith, Wild Wild West, which underrated but was really a cool movie. I like that movie a lot. But yeah, I agree. Absolutely, Independence Day is definitely up there. Nice.
There's some good ones. Yeah.
You have some good movie, and Indiana Jones would be something I would put on a list
Me too.
also.
Yeah. So
Top
you got
five is
between
hard.
one Indiana Jones, you got a Star Wars, you got an Avengers movie. So like it's hard to narrow it down. So that's why I think
Romancing the Stone back in the day.
mentioning
That was
the franchises and the trilogies and all that.
that's probably a better way to go. You're right. I mean, even you want to talk
One other one
yeah.
before we jump out, because we're gonna also mention some of the big summer to early fall movies that are to come out, which
Yes.
segues into this. But another movie, I don't know why. It's just a movie I saw when I was young, so I kind of always it's a movie I always get sucked into. See what I did there?
Oh.
Twister.
Oh yeah. Oh, Helen Hunt. Rest in peace, Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Philip Seymour Hoffman, a young Philip Seymour Hoffman. You have a young Cameron from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Also,
Yes.
great summer movie.
What a great movie. And because we're going to talk about the Twisters that's coming out
There was
with
the
the
segue.
with
Summer
basically
movie.
the it guy right now in
Powell,
movies.
Glenn Powell.
Glenn Powell, who's like the ladies love him, the guys love him. I mean, I just watched a movie with him in it on the plane that I was just on.
Which one
Uh
did you watch?
Anyone But You.
Oh, okay.
And
Yep. That's on
which was
Netflix.
a rom-com. Yeah, I just hadn't seen it on Netflix and I enjoyed it. It was a good movie. Kind of reminded me a little Mamma Mia in a way. The plot is a little similar. But anyway, yeah, Twister is a great movie. Helen Hunt, that was back in the day when Helen Hunt was like breaking out as a movie star. She was on Mad About You. And that was around the time, I think it was after As Good as It Gets, which is another great movie that she's been in. Yeah, nice.
Yep. And
Any
then you
others that
have,
you want to mention?
yeah, well, okay, we already saw it, but Inside Out 2 is,
Oh,
oh, I don't know if you've seen the
so
first one.
you saw it.
We already
I,
saw Inside Out 2.
Inside Out. So Inside Out was a movie I used to show my students because I'm all about teaching social emotional skills, and it's a great movie for
It was
that for kids.
amazing. It was just as good. It not even 2 weeks. It's already number one 2024 at the box office for the whole year.
Unbelievable. It tells you the kids relate to the movie. I mean, it's a good movie.
It's still having sellouts and it's 2, 3 weeks
That's
already.
wild. That's
And then there's so many sequels slash
Yeah,
extensions of
that was a
franchises.
joke. Actually, someone made a
Despicable
joke of
Me
that.
4 just came out. That's gonna be great. You've got Furiosa, which is in the Mad Max. You got another Bad Boys movie. You got Deadpool and Wolverine.
That's the movie for me.
I
That
cannot wait for that one. We're just a couple weeks
Deadpool and
away for that.
Wolverine. Um, movie, another movie I'm interested. Well, we have some that have already come out. If you have not, again, we've both talked about it. The Fall Guy is a great movie. If you have not seen that yet, definitely see The Fall Guy. Um,
If you
I
like
see
westerns, Kevin Costner has a two-parter coming out. The first part I think just came out. Horizon.
Horizon. What about
I'm a
what's
sucker
this?
for a good western.
What about I saw the TV Glow. Is that a horror movie?
No, that.
Yeah,
Oh
it is.
man,
I'm looking at
yeah,
it. Ooh. I saw the TV Glow has been getting a lot of positive buzz in the festival circuit.
yeah. That one's. It's supposed to be like, yeah,
Justice Smith and Bridget Lundy Payne.
Justice Smith. Yep.
Oh, wow. That looks interesting. Atlas is coming out.
There's also a few coming out. I don't know if
Jennifer
you still count
Lopez.
them as the summer, but early fall, late summer. You've got
Yeah.
the new Beetlejuice movie
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
and the new Joker movie.
Oh.
So there's a
So
lot to still come.
so I'm the Beetlejuice movie I'm really interested in
Me
because
too.
honestly, that is a classic movie. And so I'm very curious at how they can that I'm always nervous when they do sequels to classic movies that they haven't touched in years. And they haven't touched Beetlejuice since the original movie came out. Michael Keaton does reprise his role. Most of the cast comes back, actually. I think Catherine O'Hara comes back. Um, we'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
that movie is
They've done a good job with these remakes, so I think that people will be interested. Especially, I don't know if you watched Wednesday on Netflix,
yes.
but that's fantastic. So that's kind of
One
right in the
movie
same realm.
the creators have already said, Bob Gale, who created Back to the Future, has said multiple times there will never ever be a sequel to that movie. Now, what I won't pass up is the fact that they may do the old hairspray thing where it was a film or the Mean Girls is another movie I saw on the plane, which I love the musical version. I've already seen the original version. It was great. And our friend Nev, his daughter, is in
Yeah,
this scene in the cafeteria, which is
two different
I
scenes
I
at
actually
least.
took I actually took a picture on the plane and sent it to her. I'm like, I saw your daughter.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
spot her definitely.
yeah, you can see her at the table, right at the corner of the table. So it may happen where Back to the Future was a movie, a musical, and now it's a movie musical. That's possible, and that would be interesting to see that. Um, I don't know. We'll see. But they said they'll never do another sequel.
Here's the Simpsons reference for you. For Tim and Back to the Future, any sort of Back to the Future content is like when Barney wins the lifetime supply of Duff Beer and he says, "Inject it into my veins."
It's true.
That's
It's true.
that's
I love
that's
you. Literally are correct. You are.
and don't get me wrong, that's not a bad thing. I'm like that with lots of other things.
I am such a fan of that. I've living in my living room of Back to the Future stuff that's just sitting in my like a photo of Michael J. Fox. That's I have a lot of stuff, and I'll say this. I went to see the musical, and I'm literally at the like people behind me are going, "Is this guy gonna be done?" I literally was like, "I'll take the sweatshirt. I'll take the t-shirt. I'll take the cup. I'll take the." I was like, she said that'll be 200 pounds or whatever. I'm like, "You okay?" As is paying her because I love Back to the Future so much. And, when am I going to have the chance to get souvenirs for Back to the Future? And so and
Yeah,
anytime the movie comes out, I buy tickets and I see it again in the theater.
of
It's just one
course.
of those things. And you even,
If I were making a list slash ranking of people who like anything, it would be Tim and Back to the Future would be number one.
oh, 100%. It will always be that way. I cannot understand a movie that would ever take that place. I remember seeing the movie in Brooklyn with my mom in 1985 when it came out. And it was, I did, and mind you, back then, family didn't have a lot of money. I didn't go to the movies that often. So that was a treat to see that in the theater. And my mom will tell you to this day, there has not been a movie that I walked out of the theater with my jaw was completely to the floor and it wouldn't.
So if you in your ranking order, original is number one, and then do you rank them in order two, three, or do you flip three, two
Yeah, it's one,
in
two, three.
order?
Absolutely. I am not a huge fan of three. Like, it's a movie that's a movie that if it's on TV, I may or may not sit there and watch it. I don't dislike it. I'm just not a huge fan
It's
of
still
it.
part of the family.
It's still part of the family. I think it kind of jumped the shark a little bit with the plot with you like a good country, you like a good Western. So there you go. The whole plot of Back to the Future 3 is, Doc basically turns a train into a time machine at the end and gets Marty back home that way. And, and Biff comes back as his old great. It's like,
Yeah, I get
you know,
yeah.
actually, I love when 2 came out, and I remember they filmed Back to the Future 2 and 3 basically back to back. They filmed them together. They were just filmed 2 and then filmed 3. And so when 2 came out, we already knew when 3 was coming out, and they even showed a preview of 3 at the end of 2. And which I'll never forget watching 2 and seeing the preview and going, no. I was immediately like turned off. I didn't like it. Unlike you, I'm not a big Western fan, so that genre is not one of my favorite things. And so Back to the Future 2, I thought was ingenious because you talk about a movie that you have these scenes in Back to the Future 2 where they literally are showing you Marty in Back to the Future 1 because of the way they had to kind of when he's back in 1955. It's just so ingeniously done. And that's Robert Zemeckis at his best. That's what makes Who Framed Roger Rabbit such a good movie. He has this way of magically incorporating things that make your head spin. Like, what? And so I do enjoy 2 very much. It ranks very close to number 1 for me, the original. I love that movie. 3 is kind of it's like 1, 2 very close, and then 3 is
Three
3
is
is
like
down
in the
here a little
six, seven
bit.
hundred somewhere.
Yeah. But I'll
But
still
still,
watch
yeah,
it.
of course.
I'll still watch it. I like the
We're gonna need to see maybe about working on your westerns there. Are there zero westerns that you've liked, or have you not seen many, or it's just not your thing?
no, I mean, there's been some
Okay, because I've got a couple
yeah.
that if you haven't seen,
Tell
maybe
me. Tell
have
me.
you? Okay, have you seen the Coen Brothers True Grit? Okay, that
I saw the original with John Wayne.
you gotta put the Coen Brothers one on your list.
John Wayne did the original.
That is what basically put Haley Steinfeld on the map.
Okay, I'll check it out.
She's like she's like 14 or 15 in the movie, and
I
she
haven't
kills it.
I think the one's Unforgiven. I think I saw that was. Is that a Western?
That
Yeah,
is a Western.
yeah. I saw that movie. It was good.
There's one other one
I'm not a
that
big
I would
genre.
put on that list too.
I'm not a genre person really. I don't like anything that's unless it's historical.
Yeah.
That kind of gets. I like historical movies,
Well,
but if
here, how
it's
about
like
this? To circle back to earlier in the episode, a Batman that you said you liked, Christian Bale, is
yes,
also in a very, very underrated good Western movie.
which one?
It's him and Russell Crowe. Does that ring any bells?
No.
310 to Yuma.
Oh, I've
Put
heard
that
of
on
it.
put that on your list as well.
All right, 310.
Those two I think maybe will change your mind of the genre, but we'll see. True
All right.
Grit is phenomenal. It's Haley Steinfeld with Josh Brolin and Matt Damon, Jeff Bridges.
It came out
Those
in
two,
2010.
those two, I think are two of my favorite westerns.
After an outlaw named Tom Cheney, Josh Brolin murders his father, feisty 14-year-old farm girl Maddie Ross, Haley Steinfeld, hires Rooster Cogburn, Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges, that's his character. He plays
Yeah,
that kind of a
he's
boozy, trigger-happy lawman. All
and it takes place, way back in the day.
right, I'll check it. Matt Damon's in it too.
Yep,
Interesting.
Matt
All right.
Damon, Jeff Bridges, and Brolin and Haley, all four of them give great performances.
I'm gonna
It's
check it out.
Do it. Put those two on your list.
Okay.
And the other one is Russell Crowe is like a wanted outlaw, and Christian Bale's just like a poor farmer, and they basically form a bond while Christian Bale is trying to get Russell Crowe, the gangster, he's basically trying to return him to a town for not a bounty, but either he's being paid to help usher him along, and they just they just make this, I don't know the right word, but basically this friendship you wouldn't expect they form, and it's kind of like a respect level thing, and his young kids in it are fantastic. I think that one you'd like to.
Yeah,
310
I'm
to
gonna
you.
check it out. Definitely.
Put them
Speaking
on
of
the
Christian
list.
Bell, I read something that new on Netflix is his movie American Psycho, which is the first movie I saw with him. That's
You talking about the original?
the original American
Yeah.
Psycho. Oh, we were talking in last week's a couple of
First
weeks
of its time
episodes.
kind of.
We're talking about, we've been talking about The Boys. That's a movie that gives you that same shock value that The Boys
Yeah.
does.
And
Um,
that didn't really have a lot of that at that time.
when I was sitting in the theater, back in those days, so you're talking probably late 90s, like 98, 99 when that movie came out. Back then, when the movie came out, Erica and I used to go to these previews. We used to get free tickets all the time to previews and, through local newspapers and whatnot. And we got American Psycho. And I already told her, I said, listen, I didn't know much about the movie, but I said the title alone kind of tells you that it might not be, patty cake, kind of thing. And we're watching the movie and the first scene comes up when he does something and she literally slaps me like, what did you take me in for? And I'm like,
Did
I'm
you guys make it through the whole
sorry.
movie?
She did. But most of the movie she had like
Yeah.
a hand over her
I
eyes
gotta.
and
I'll be the first to admit, if I saw that in theaters,
oh,
I that would have been the end of me.
it's a brutal movie. It's without giving too much. I mean, it's also a 25-year-old movie, but
Yeah, more
it's
than that.
brutal. It's brutal. It's a brutal movie. It was nominated for Academy Award. Wasn't it? I think. But yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he was nominated, I think, for Best Actor for that movie. It is a brutal movie. I enjoy the movie, but it's not for the faint of heart. It is it came out around the same time as American Beauty.
yeah, it came out in
Um,
2000.
yeah. That period of time had some, and speaking of that period of time, there was another movie that came out in the summer that didn't make my list, but I will really enjoy. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Detroit Rock City.
Oh yeah,
God, I love that movie. You talk about a coming of age movie about it takes place in the 70s. It's these kids going to a Kiss concert in Detroit. It's and it was one of the first movies for a lot of stars that ended up being pretty big in the early 2000s in movies. Yeah, great film, Detroit Rock City. Around the time of American Pie, another great movie. I think that was a summer movie too. Um, what about White Hot American Summer or Red Hot American Summer or something like
Wet
that?
Hot American
Wet
Summer.
Hot. See, I always
And
mess
then
up
they
names.
redid it on
That's
Netflix,
a
brought it
funny
back.
movie. Oh my God.
Talk about having so many young stars.
Superstars. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
jeez.
Ooh, that's a movie that cracks me up every time I see it. Uh, yeah.
That
Ah,
cast is just crazy.
unbelievable. Like I think Amy Poehler's in it. I mean, it's unbelievable the people that are in that. A lot of people who were probably what's that Chicago troupe, the comedy troupe over there in Second City?
Second
A lot
City.
of Second City people. Unbelievable cast.
That
Also,
cast is crazy.
another funny movie, Best in Show.
Oh,
Another
Christopher Guest.
funny movie, Christopher Guest. What a great film
Those are
that
my
is.
jam.
Such a great when Best in Show came out. I love it when there's a movie that comes out that you just crack up in a movie that you cannot hold yourself from. And I was dying of laughter with that movie. It's, it's just I think about it now. It's just I love um oh she went on to do Two Broke Girls. You remember that show?
Yeah, of
Um
course.
oh God, I love her. I forgot her name. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
one with
you're
the lips. Jennifer Coolidge. Jennifer Coolidge. See,
Jennifer
I remember.
Coolidge.
Woo! I'm not going crazy. All right, I have memory. Jennifer
White
Coolidge.
Lotus.
Love her so much. She's so funny. She was like Two Broke Girls. She was like the best part of that show.
Speaking
But
of American Pie,
oh, we got
Jennifer
some apple pie.
Coolidge,
Yes, she was in American Pie. Also,
Stifler's mom.
Stifler. Oh my
And
God.
so is Eugene Levy.
Levy, yes.
Yeah.
Who his son is huge now.
Jason Biggs.
Jason, no,
Oh, in
his real
real
life
life. Yeah,
son.
Dan.
Yeah, Dan
Yeah.
Levy. Yeah, it's such a great. Such a. You talk about good like 10 Things I Hate About You. There were so many good movies that
That's
came out around that
and that's in
time.
Rosie's
That's when
top
you were
five.
young. You were young. Like
Yeah,
that's your yeah, that's your like teenage years. Those are movies that
absolutely.
came out when you were a teenager. I was in my 20s, so I remember those films. It was in like 98, 99. I was like 28, 29, 27, something like that. Yeah, good movies. Yeah, Rosie likes 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah, that's one of
I
her
love that
favorites.
film.
That's a great
Freddie
movie.
Prinze Jr. when he was like the it guy for a while there in that time period. Of course, Sarah Michelle Gellar was big. She was off of Buffy, so you know that whole thing. Yeah, it was a good time for movies and pop culture of the late
I
'90s
think
and
you're
early
confusing
2000s.
those two movies. You're thinking of She's All That.
Oh,
10
me
Things I Hate About
confused?
You is Heath
Wait.
Ledger and Julia
Me?
Stiles and
Yes, that's correct. Me confused stuff? Are you kidding? Yes, Heath Ledger, of course, the late great Heath Ledger. Julia
Dark
Stiles
Knight,
was
everything coming full circle.
yeah. He that's another tragedy, right? His last role was the Joker, wasn't it? Um
Yeah, I think it
wait,
was.
did we missed one franchise that's pretty good too. Is it Fast and the Furious? Um Another great franchise. Yeah.
If Bejos is listening, that's his by far his favorite, and I always give him shit for it
Oh, why? Why do you give
because
him shit?
after like the first two or three, it's
That's why you
they
gave
get
me a
they're
look.
so ridiculous. Like in one of the movies, they literally drive through a building, like 60 stories.
You
It's
have to
absurd.
you have to like Tokyo Drift though. That's a good movie.
The I like the original. I like the original.
What about that scene when they're going down that ramp?
Tokyo Drift, yeah, all right, sure.
Yeah.
It got so bad. I don't think I've seen 10, 9, 8, 7, and maybe 6 and
I probably
5
have it. I probably haven't either.
one of these days I'll watch them, but they're just
Then
it just
it's
seems
like
like it's to the point now where it's just like
once you get
it's
enough of
one of
Vin
those you
Diesel,
laugh at, in like not a good way, but
I
it's
thought they
like
were gonna end the franchise after Paul Walker passed away. Surprised they kept going. Vin Diesel, I could take or leave. I don't know. I he always seems to be the same person in everything he does. Um, I'm Vin Diesel, you know. Please don't kick my butt, Vin Diesel, if you're listening by some chance of the imagination. I don't hate you. Because he could kick
Hey,
my butt.
he's got some good Marvel money. He doesn't have to do
He
much.
does. He does. He does. Any other movies you want to talk about?
No, there's probably some other ones. Another one that's on a few of these lists actually has a new one that just dropped on Netflix that people can go watch. The new
What's that?
Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh yeah, Axel Foley, Eddie Murphy, of course.
That's a
Um,
popcorn summer movie.
I love. Have you seen it yet?
I have not seen the new one
I'm
yet.
gonna
It
see
just
it.
dropped
Yeah, I have to
like in a
see that.
couple days.
Shake down, take
I'll
down.
watch that
Everybody's
soon,
looking for the
one of
grounded
these
line.
days.
Remember that? Shake down, take down. You're busted. That was
Banana in the
ever.
tailpipe.
Yes, yes. Oh my God. Party all the time, party. He did. Eddie Murphy sang that song, and oh yeah, love Beverly Hills Cop. That took a long, Eddie Murphy has done a number of sequels to his films over the years. Beverly Hills Cop is one he did not touch for a long time after, I think it two, right? Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, wow. So it must be a good story for him to visit it again or there's something about classic Eddie Murphy. One of my favorite Eddie Murphy movies, and I go off on tangents, but I have to say it. Trading Places.
Trading Places is a
Oh my
great one.
God.
That and
That
for
is
me, for my era,
love that
the
movie.
Nutty Professor.
Nutty Professor is the
Oh my
original Nutty
goodness.
Professor. Trading for me, when I was your age when Nutty Professor came out, I was basically my age when Trading Places came out. I love that film so much. It's just a dollar. And you talk about a classic early Saturday Night Live-ish movie is Trading Places.
He's
Jamie
so
Lee
funny.
Curtis is in that film. It was one of her first after the Friday the 13th, no, after the Halloween series. So yeah, great movie. Love that.
He's great.
I love Eddie Murphy. I love his classic stand-up. I don't know if you've ever seen his original
Yes,
stand-up.
of course.
Yeah. Ooh, when he was like cursing and so funny. Even Whoopi Goldberg's original stand-up is unbelievable. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, this has been our awesome. We hope whatever you do, folks, that you do get out there and see some great summer movies. Enjoy your time with your family. We will, of course, have a new episode coming up in a couple of weeks where we're going to go back and recap what is going on with The Mole and with Big Brother and all the reality shows that are out there right now. Of course, we have the Mole finale coming up soon, where we'll recap that. And we're in the early stages of Big Brother. And so we'll be doing that as well.
What are you guys gonna see next movie wise? You have any ideas?
I'm not sure yet. I have to coordinate schedules and stuff, and we have in a busy couple of weeks. We have a busy week, couple of weeks coming up. In a couple of weeks, we're coming to see you guys in Chicago, and we're going to a Wheel of Fortune slot tournament in Las Vegas with Wheel of Fortune alumni, which I'll report back on. That should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, that week right before we go to Chicago, we'll be in Vegas. We literally come home for 2 days and then we're off to see you. So it's a
Looking
very
forward
busy
to
week.
it.
Yeah, me too, man. That's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun wearing a Cubs hat rooting against the Cardinals. I love that. Love it. All right, this has been Around the Bases, the pop culture and sports podcast with your host,
Charlie Seymour.
and I'm Tim Sturberg. We'll see you next week with another great episode. Bye, everybody.